Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show for episode number 3. Sorry if I sound any different than what I did last week, and sorry for the no episodes because I've been down with a sickness. But with the Daytona Road Course within 2 hours away for the second race on the season, we're gonna go over the Daytona 500, what we thought, or at least what I thought of it, and then we'll go over our analytics for the road course. This should be a fairly interesting uh season, especially for this road course. But let's start off with the Daytona 500. Daytona 500 was pretty chaotic for the most part. Stage or the first half of the race was, the most chaotic due to the fact that most people were wrecking, causing cautions. We even had a DNF in stage or in the first half of the race before the halfway caution, which was James Depp, which DNF the race. But coming to there was a lot that happened throughout the Daytona 500. You got a lot of passing, you got a lot of side drafting, but for the most part, racing was fairly clean. But people were definitely making bad laps. But for the most part, it wasn't like you had a couple cars spinning off the front bumper of one another, but and then like I said before, James DNFing uh has been split up into. But coming to the halfway, I ended up beating Aiden and I think Joey to the line, coming to the finish after no green flag pit stops happened in the first half. First half wasn't. I mean, yeah, we had more cautions, but was for the most part uneventful. Not other than James spinning out. The second half had a little more chaos, what we would consider more chaos. Didn't have as many cautions, that's for sure. There was the time where I ended up spinning off the front bumper of Frog. I ended up hitting the death wall, but I ended up saving it, bouncing off the death wall and all that good stuff. Then you had uh, a long green flag run from lap 23 all the way till lap 4, or, or with 4 to go. We had 23 to go. It was a good green flag run. We actually ended up having green flag pit stops. And once we got through green flag pit stops and people were pitting and all that, with 4 to go, the caution ended up coming out as Aiden runs out of fuel, bringing out a caution for an overtime attempt. With an Ultra What and Frog were the top two. Me and Pooh Bear were trailing behind. For the most part, when the caution came out, when everyone did the race back and we lined up to go green again, most people stayed out. A couple people came in to top off to be on the safe side. But for the most part, everyone could make it because the fuel window was, if I remember correctly, about 15 to 17 laps, and everyone started pitting once everyone hit 11 laps to go. So about halfway through that green flag run. once, but once they went green, chaos ensued by them going around. The first lap was fine, but then we were all coming to the white flag when Ultra spins off the front bumper of everybody, hits the inside wall, and instead of making a safe merge or anything, he uses the inside wall, keeps riding it back into traffic, killing uh people like G-Man and others, getting them all involved. No caution ended up coming out as it was a white flag. We don't usually call cautions on the white flag, but then all the way, then it pretty much was single file until we get to turn 3 and 4 when Isaac came down on Mills. Isaac ended up corner cutting all the way from halfway through 3 going into 4 and stayed below the yellow line, double yellow lines until coming right before the front straight tri-oval when he finally gave up positions and up finishing third, which I know it would be. He did give positions back, but in my opinion, he did pass below the yellow, and he never gave up positions for an entire 10 seconds going around the track. Because corner cutting halfway through turn 3, going all the way through turn 4, and on the front stretch, entering the trial was staying below the yellow with the race lead, and then finally giving up positions. I would still, in my opinion, if I was not, I would have definitely given a penalty, a much harsher penalty than giving him nothing. Because basically, what Isaac did just went under the radar, in my opinion. And Isaac ended up keeping P3. It's not trying to be biased to any other drivers, help other drivers get position. It's just Isaac corner cutted, never gave positions up until coming into the travel. Kind of gotta be a penalty somewhere, some way, whether it's to the rear or a 1 out of 3 or something like that. But coming out of the Daytona 500, we definitely had some penalties. Let's go over those said penalties. So before the Daytona 500, we only had one person on probation, which was Aiden coming out of the clash. Aiden ended up getting 3 out of 3, so he's suspended for the Daytona road course this week. I'm not 100% sure if he's suspended for next week as well, but this week he is definitely suspended. Frog Boy is also under probation for turning Aiden on the backstretch with coming to the halfway caught stage. There's about 3 to 2 to go around that time period when he ended up right hooking Aiden in the outside wall, causing Aiden to hit the outside wall and spin. And then also Ultra is also on a 1 race probation for killing the field. In my opinion, he should have gotten a far worse penalty. He should be a 2 out of 3 or almost a race suspension, to be honest, because he killed the entire field, completely coming out, going through the trial. But for the most part, the race was fairly good, in my opinion. I had a blast. I didn't do what I did at the Clash and all that and the duels, but overall, race was fairly decent. I wouldn't say it was the best of racing and all that. There was definitely people causing stupid moves, making bad merges like Aiden did, Ultra did, and so on and so forth. But overall, the racing is pretty good. But for the Daytona road course, it's going to be a fairly interesting race. I know for most road racing series, turn 1 is going to be a dive bomb central. People just got to be careful with the death wall there to the right. As you guys can see off to the right, there's the death wall going into turn 1. Then once you come off for turn 1, you go up to the little S's and then into the first hairpin. Once we get through turn 1 and things start getting spread out, racing should be fine. We should have the long green flag run and all that good stuff. It's just going to be the first lap on the restarts is what's going to be the troublesome times because due to the fact that people are going to send, especially in turn 1. But Then, but we got a ton of great passing zones. Got a long straights, especially or high speed areas. Like especially if you're coming out of this corner over here, you get up into Daytona, the Oval 1 and 2, and you're pretty much full throttle all the way down. And even most people has figured out how to full throttle the backstretch chicane. So once pretty much they're full throttle all the way around until they come back towards turn number one, where then they start lifting again. Full throttle over here, then lift around the corners. Full, pretty much a full send here, then lift around this corner, and then of course once again lifting around this corner, then back going straight. Pit road exit. When you're coming out of pit road, well, when you come down to pit road, it's just like Daytona. There's a Daytona 500 where you come back down the pit road, you get off under the yellow lines and then get onto pit road, and then instead of merging out back out on the track and all that, you actually merge onto this access road, and then that's when you actually merge onto the actual track once you get back out on track. But other than that, Daytona road course fairly simple, fairly easy. Just gonna be a lot of uh sending, especially going into turn one on the first lap of the race and restarts. My bad. Excuse me. But in my opinion, for the road course, after last week and all that, after last week, Daytona's never always been on my side. So knowing me, I'm not going to be running out front most of the time. So don't be really looking forward to me. But definitely when you look at my PO, I always post my POV on the YCS channel for the Cup Series and everything. You will see. So if you ever want to see me racing in the class, right now we got 3 videos out, which are it's a Clash, the duels, and the 500. This video will be out probably next week. The Daytona Road Course will probably be out next week due to the fact tomorrow and Friday I will not be home all day at all. No, it might even come out Saturday. But Daytona Road Course fairly interesting, fairly gonna be a tough challenge for a lot of people, especially those that are on mobile controls, since mobile controls do not play nice for the most part. But for picks wise, from my previous experience for this track, main person I definitely look at is Cody. Especially if we go back to the old LUM days, Cody dominated every time. The last time I actually raced here, I was leading the race before coming out of turn one. My keyboard ended up dying on me because Daytona has to be a little person, and yeah, caused my keyboard to stop working. So I ended up not moving in. Dapper Dan actually took that race from me. That was the time when Cody was not in the LE1. So story could have been much different if Cody was in the LE1 at that time. But that was the time period when we did endurance racing instead of cup for a season, which didn't do so well since it only really was me and Dapper that raced most of the races. But yeah, that's Daytona Road Course for you. So far from the way that I'm seeing this episode, it's going to be a fairly short episode due to the fact that it's somewhat hard to talk. Not going to do any driver interviews or anything like that this week because, like I said before, it's somewhat hard to talk. So kind of just trying to push through with this and all that. But yeah, those that want to check power rankings, check the power rankings channel on in the Discord and all that. Check to see where you place. Only right now, only top 5 get in. But if we get 10 people per race, we will start adding 10 cars per race. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully next week I'll be better, so I'll be able to do the power rankings in the episode instead of just saying, "Hey, these are the power rankings." Just go to the power rankings channel, because I would like to do them in the episodes, but like I said, being sick sucks, so gotta deal with it. But I'll see you all next time for episode number 4, and good luck to all drivers for tonight. 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern is the Daytona Road Course.